costs drop. World's most rapid expansion of nuclear power. 50 new reactors by 2020 in China, while the rest of the world has 11. The rest of the world, folks, has 11, at least according to Tom Friedman. Prompting this CEO to say by the end of the decade, China will be dominating global production. So when you look at the state of events, as we exit our lost decade and we see the Chinese, we wind up having people like this say, it's increasingly clear the current downturn is a fundamental shift. This isn't another turn of the cycle, but a restructuring of America's economic order. And I thought to myself as I read it, sinking further and further into my depression, you know, I'm getting up there in age now. I'd like to have a buck for every time somebody told me this was different and it's a restructuring and nothing's ever going to be the same. But it does get people to feel like this new normal is starting to get a little old. I mean, when you think about the new normal, what does it make you think about? I mean, what exactly is that anyway? So as you define it, what does it conjure up? What images come to your mind? What is the new normal? I mean, for most people, it has now started to be connected with layoffs and foreclosures and offshoring and budget cuts and pay freezes and the like. I need to tighten my household budget. I don't have the same money I had for college tuition. My pay may be frozen. I can't hire the people I need. That's the new normal for many of us. The trouble with our times, we think sometimes, is that the future is not what it used to be. You know what's interesting, though? This quote was by Paul Valéry, a French poet. Did you notice something about this? Paul died in 1945. Poor Paul. By the way, Paul uttered that quote before the greatest economic expansion in the history of man, which happened after Paul departed this great earth. So while Paul, like many of us, may be thinking, or may have been thinking, that the world could never be the same again, the truth is Paul was absolutely dead, 180 degrees wrong. Couldn't have been more wrong, actually, if you think about it, because the future had nothing to do with the current times. In fact, this makes a lot more sense to me. The new normal, if there is one, is really a strategic inflection point. The fundamentals of a business change, and as they do, we make hard decisions to invest in a down cycle and take a more promising trajectory, or do nothing and wither, says Friedman. The same is true for countries. See, I think the same is true for states and counties and individuals and even community colleges, Ken. And I think that's the premise that I'd like to challenge you with, is that, you know what? The best way to realize your dreams is to wake up, people. Enough with their new normal. I don't like it anymore. I made up my mind. Okay? I believe more like Patton did. I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but how high he bounces when he hits the bottom. Where are we going to go from here? So I thought about it a little bit, and I decided, you know what? I'm from Jersey. I'm going to write my own new normal. I have a new normal. So let me tell you my new normal. My new normal is not risk averse. It's willing to take a risk. It isn't cautious, and it isn't worrying about what's going to happen next. I'm willing to dream. It's not risk averse. In fact, I say it's innovative and entrepreneurial. I think it needs to start with things that are new, that we never thought of before. We have to be willing to dream. It's focused on growth of good jobs, family-sustaining jobs. Not everything has to be entry level. We can figure this out. They're different. We need to adjust. Certainly, the same things we did in the last 50 years will not produce the results we want in the next 50, given. But I got a new normal. It's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to write my own. I say it's manufacturing and service-based. I say not all the manufacturing jobs get to go to everywhere else. As a matter of fact, if you do your homework, you're going to see advanced manufacturing jobs are coming back to this country in droves. And I'll show you examples of regional plants like yours that have brought wind turbine plants back to Iowa where they used to build washing machines. Plants that would have been sited in China. So I say it's manufacturing and service-based. In my dream, it's energy independent. Again, this is mine. You make up yours. It's okay. And no matter what you say, at the bottom and at the foundation is a world-class educational system. That's my new normal. I wrote it. I kind of like it. I say, you know what? If you call yourself a leader, now would be a really good time to lead. Now, just out of curiosity, think about it seriously. How many people in the room feel like they're a leader? How many people feel like they're a leader? Yeah, you know, and for those of you whose hands didn't go up, I'm here to implore you to understand that you are one too. See, being a leader in this context doesn't mean you have a department under you or at a certain level on an org chart, or you have X number of people working for you, because you're a leader or you wouldn't be here. Somebody thought you were a thought leader, that you had something in your brain, in your experience, in your knowledge, in your unique skill set that could make a difference to what we're doing. Everybody in this room is a leader. Believe it when you leave this room, when you go into your groups, when you go out of here and back to your job, somebody's going to be watching what you do. They're going to be watching how you think. They're going to see whether you're doing and protecting the status quo or you're exploring the next level of the way to do business. Everybody in this room is a leader in the context of what we do here and beyond what you do when you go home. See, because after all, a leader is really only a dealer in hope. And that, more than anything else, is I think what we need. We need to be able to say the future can be better. It doesn't have to be a readjustment to what the media calls new normal. We can write our own. And in fact, policy directions is asking you to do just that. There are all kinds of assets being put on the plate, folks, by Washington here. I'm sure you're aware of them. We've got WEA reauthorization, Workforce Investment Act. There's listening campaigns going on all over the country to connect and make this act more powerful and connect it more to the educational arena. Stimulus, ARA grants are out there. The Department of Labor alone just, well, Byron Zeidem is in the room. He could tell us, I think it was 160 new healthcare grants alone a couple weeks ago. Foundations are focusing on sector initiatives. The National Association of Manufacturing, new skills standards for advanced manufacturing. Plus 50, introducing new customers to us as community colleges. People that look like me that get reskilled, not just the exiting high school senior. And of course, the American Graduation Initiative, adding 5 million grads by 2020, focusing on credentials and pathways, not just associate's and bachelor's degrees. Innovating and finding new ways to support students. Aligning with partners to develop pathways, and more. Lots of money tied for infrastructure, for curriculum. More money than has ever been dumped into the community college arena by a federal government, ever, is available as these pathways, these policy initiatives drive us to what I think communities are telling us they need from us. Communities, no matter whether it's an adult basic education student or whether it's a high school grad or it's a 50-year-old coming off a job and needing reskill, they need access to new opportunities. They need vibrant career options, no matter whether it's an associate or bachelor's degree or advanced educational level. It may be a work readiness credential. And they need you to innovatively use resources. Ken talked about the situation in Illinois. Take a look at your federal budget, folks. If you haven't figured out that the traditional